Let me tell you the story of Dr. David Dao, the Vietnamese songwriter. In fact, I think he might have wrote this song.
Some folks are born made to wave the flag.
My bad. That's actually a song about Vietnam. No, you might not recognize the name, but you know who Dr. David Dao is. We all do. He's famous. He was the man, and to be factually accurate, the Chicago police dragged off a United Express airplane, ripped him out of the seat, dragged him down the aisle because United wanted to get a few of their employees to the new location. It's that video that went viral. This one, the one we've all seen. Face all bloodied and bruised.
Come on. Gotta go.
Oh,
Busted his lip.
Oh my God! Look at what you did here!
Yeah, yikes. Well, what's the full story? Because after that video made its rounds, to quote Winston Churchill, that was not the beginning of the end. It was only the end of the beginning. Dr. David Dao gets dragged out of the airplane. We all see it happen. And the media cycle moves on for the most part. Wow, that was tragic. I can't believe United Airlines would do that. But a few days later, the media starts digging up who this guy is. Is he actually a doctor? Who is he? Well, he's a pulmonologist. He was a doctor. Okay, fascinating. But, oh, interesting. Interesting. You know, now that I think about it, journalists, we're kind of like grave diggers. But instead of putting things to rest, we dig people up and present their skeletons to the public. Think about that for a second. That's kind of the job I'm in. After a few days of digging behind the man that we see being dragged off of this viral video, the Daily Mail writes an article that says doctor dragged off United flight was felon who traded prescription drugs for secret gay sex with patient half his age and took them himself. Yikes. But it doesn't end there. The New York Post wrote, doctor dragged off flight was convicted of trading drugs for sex. Not very good headlines. So what actually happened? So here are the actual reportable facts. Dr. David Dao was a pulmonologist who had a patient, and he would prescribe this patient narcotics. After a while, this patient became an employee, and he then worked in his office. And then from there, it was revealed that Dr. David Dao and this now employee would occasionally engage in gay sex in motel rooms, and in exchange for his employee sleeping with him, he would provide the guy with some cash and some more drugs. But all these allegations, it leads me to a moral question I have a lot of trouble with as a journalist in this industry. I'll be honest with you. Because I don't feel like any of that information should have been reported to begin with. I don't think it has any bearance on the actual news story, which was that a man was dragged bloodily down an airplane to make room for an employee. I think that's the story. I don't think a private individual's past should have been brought up. And I recognize the irony of talking about it here in the video and doing nothing but further dig it up and present it to you guys, the public. But I want to make it clear, these are just allegations. And the amount of stuff that media reports with secondhand sources and sources with no names, a lot of it's rubbish. And I'm not here to say fake news, but you should definitely take these kinds of, when it's written by the Daily Mail, the New York Post, and even the media is sometimes mixing up the names, take everything with a grain of salt. And even if it is true, you should not condemn a man forever for his past sins, nor should it have any bearance on the amount of empathy or sympathy we feel for an injustice. I just want to make that clear, because it's a moral question that I think a lot of journalists don't have a good answer to, which is, what is that line in the sand? Just because an individual is suddenly in the news, does that make their entire life newsworthy? I would argue no. But there's many smart journalists that would push back against me. But let's keep going, because this is not the end of Dr. David Dao. Dr. David Dao probably wishes this was the end of the story, but his story, like Nietzsche, time is a flat circle. His story never ends. So what happens next? The Kentucky Medical Board finds out about this, and they revoke his medical license. But then, how does he make a living? Well, the media continues to dig, and they dig up, well, he's actually a gambler. In fact, he's made over $200,000 on online gambling since his medical license has been revoked. In fact, he made over $1,000, the media reported at the time, just in the last month. So, imagine just for a moment, just a tangent. You're on a plane, you're trying to get home. You get ripped out of your seat by the police, dragged down the aisle. You never made it home. You're sitting at a hospital now, and your reputation's getting torched. Now, half the country thinks you're some sleazy doctor trading drugs for sex. Just imagine that's you for a second. Not a great position. But the story doesn't end there. Because the internet, Inquisitor, another media publication, says, wait a minute, you got the wrong David Dao. You morons, you looked up the criminal record of a Dr. David Dao in Louisiana. Not the guy that was drugged at the flight. That's defamation. It's the Louisiana doctor that actually did all these naughty things. So the media investigates, and this doctor down in Louisiana suddenly, his patients are coming in, everything's normal. Now he's suddenly getting the side eye. Every patient's like, trying to sleep with me? Are you the guy they're talking about on the papers? And this poor bloke down in Louisiana, his receptionist picks up the call. No, our Dr. David Dao was never on any flight. Doesn't have any criminal record. It's not him. So then the LA Times comes out with an article saying, no, the media did not identify the wrong David Dao as United passenger. So at this point, just to recap, we got two Dr. David Daos, both of which half the country probably thinks is some sleazy drug-slinging doctor, one of whom is in a hospital currently recovering from getting beat up by the police, and the other one is a medical resident trying to practice medicine while now half his patients look at him thinking, I don't know, is he trying to pull something fast on me? Basically, lives are ruined all around. But the story doesn't end there. This time the Toronto Sun now publishes an article about Dr. David Dao, and I'll read it to you. United passenger David Dao has sordid past and distant past, which includes being a popular composer, musician, and culinary expert. Huh? So wait, Dr. David Dao, who was dragged off the airplane, nice pun, a little Freudian slip there, was dragged off the airplane and was paying money for gay sex when trading drugs, and who got his medical license revoked, was actually a songwriter and musician in Vietnam, and that's where he grew up and was raised, and then fled because of the Vietnam War. Came to the United States, became a doctor, got really into cooking, went to a culinary art school, is also a chef, and wait, he's also a father, he's 69 years old, he's happily married. Whoa, wait, what's this? Almost makes you think that maybe the media started to feel bad, that they were trashing this guy's life, but each of these three pictures of this person we're presented with are one-dimensional, which I think is important because I try so hard to imagine other people complexly. It's an incredibly useful tool in this world. And the media sometimes does something what I call context collapse, that each time it presents you, like it does with Dr. David Dao, presents you a one-dimensional character. The first time we're introduced to Dr. David Dao, we're told he's a victim. Look at this man, bloody, being dragged out of the airplane. Oh my gosh, people are shrieking. The next time the media presents Dr. David Dao, he's a scuzzy, sleazy, prostitute, gay-loving doctor. What's this? The third time, oh my gosh, he's a family man. He's written songs. Here's a video of him playing in a band. Oh, that's lovely little music. He's covering the Beatles. But none of these are complete pictures, because even then, it was his wife that reported him to the medical board for sleeping around with his employee and for trading drugs. So, not that simple. It's only when we combine all of these different narratives and follow the story through that we start to have a more complete picture of who this man is, how human he really is, and we can imagine him and think about him complexly. You know, it's funny, this entire narrative of trashing and then trying to revive this private individual's life brings to me an old phrase I learned in journalism: minimize harm. Minimize harm. Minimize harm. I don't see a lot of harm being minimized. Minimized for whom? The journalists? You know, we talk about this opioid crisis, but I don't see a lot of Narcan being administered to a media class that is overdosed on the opioid of sensationalism. Minimize harm? The story of Dr. David Dao is a story of how one man gets dragged literally down an airplane, but metaphorically by the media. But what's the ending? What's the follow-up with United Airlines? I'm gonna set my laptop down. What ended up happening? Well, United Airlines and Dr. David Dao settled out of court for an undisclosed sum, but in China it was reported it was around $150 million, which means actually 75, because of course the government's going to take half of that immediately through taxes. So $75 million, right? And your reputation being torched, where half the country thinks you're rubbish, and a video of you forever looking like a yob. Which would you choose? It's an interesting choice. Reputation, $75 million. What would you choose? I'm curious. Except the question's kind of rhetorical because Dr. David Dao never had a choice. The media made that decision for him. Anyway, let me know what you guys think down below. Tune back in next time where I'll tell the journalism story of Vox, Statistics 101, an angry Colombian professor, and what does it really mean to be a good journalist in the modern digital era. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you found this interesting and fascinating, if you now know the full narrative arc of Dr. David Dao, leave a like, hit subscribe. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you guys soon. Bye.